America has a deficit, an increasing deficit of $1.25 trillion in consumer slash credit card debt. This is rising due to inflation. This is rising due to taxes, insurance, cost of living for food, groceries, health and medical, gas and transportation, everything that makes us tick and go day to day. Over 50% of Americans claim to hold a credit card balance due to day-to-day spending. So before in the past, when things were achievable, we would spend our credit card, or we would use our credit card for two reasons. We were always taught, right? Especially, my family, I know my wife, people we know, like to purchase things for an emergency, right? You're not supposed to really use your credit card in that manner. Two, it was to build your credit. So you would buy something once or twice a month, pay that back immediately, so your interest rate doesn't increase and your credit is being constructed. It's growing, and we need credit because we need to buy, or rent vehicles. We buy or rent properties, right? We do a lot of things with an attached credit score. So growing the credit, late teens, early 20s was to set us up going into our 30s, 40s, and obviously in our later golden years, especially in post-retirement, or post-work for retirement. However, all that's changed, guys. In the last 4 to 5 years, especially coming out of COVID, we've seen historical highs in the use of credit. I worked with people who went $50,000 to $100,000 in credit card debt. I kid you not, during COVID. So although now, 4 to 5 years later, the credit card, basically expenditure, the need to swipe your credit card has decreased significantly compared to that era. But it's compared to that era because now we're facing extreme highs with inflation. We're facing extreme highs with wage depreciation, even since COVID, right? Since 2019, 2020. So you're basically pairing an historic pandemic, basically low on wage increase, income, making and maintaining ability, and obviously credit card, balance, depreciation, like that stuff. It was bad during COVID. But we're not even a half a decade really fully from it. So a lot of people aren't recuperating. Although the numbers are skewed to show COVID's era, that peak higher in usage till today, it's still a tick up because a lot of people maybe most people are still feeling the weight of what COVID did. And now we're in this era, right? With the big, beautiful bill, with Trump's administration on his, potential golden fleet, on the ever so increasing of housing costs and health and wellness and Medicaid, Medicare, the depreciation with SNAP, rising gas and oil prices. Like we're seeing that paired with the use of credit card. And so now, with other programs like buy now, purchase later, I may be saying it wrong, 50+% of Americans claim to carry a credit card debt to buy food, groceries, and travel. This is for day-to-day spending now. We're using our credit card as if it's our debit card. And so it's like we're digging ourselves in a hole, but that's kind of our only option because we're getting laid off. Our jobs become terminated. We can't afford things even while we're at work. People are filing for bankruptcy because they haven't had a job for 6 to 18 months. People are losing their homes. So the only outlet is credit. But what's interesting to me is the average American has a 21+% interest rate attached to the credit. And although the average debt or balance on a credit card is around $6,800 to $7,300, with an interest rate tied to it, with wages being low in ratio to overall expenditure, why or how are we still getting approved for credit cards? And so, in my weird radical thinking, and you guys may disagree, comment below if you disagree or agree with me. Let me know in the comments. It sounds like it's a setup. I've talked to people who have 5, 7, 10 credit cards. I felt like I've talked to one or two people, especially one person we was at a bank with a couple of years ago, and said her son had like 25 or 30 credit cards. And I'm like, who is approving you to basically get into so much debt? Like, we're getting approved to get into debt. And that's the whole thing with purchasing things on credit, just in general. Big or small, whether you only do it once or you do it every single day, every single year. The fact that we're purchasing on credit, we're purchasing deficit. And we're also giving out deficit like it's candy. And it's like, guys, this is what keeps us stuck. Even if you love working, even if you don't see yourself retiring, even if you're rich and you own, or you're well off at least and you own a business, guys, it's still, there's debt attached to your name just because of a system we live under. And for the more people, for the more unopportunistic people, for the more people who are in the lower middle class or lower class, for the people who are seeing wages being garnished and, they're having gaps in their employment, and they're having medical and health issues, this is terrible because you're digging yourself in a hole. How can you ever get that house that you're looking to purchase for your family, for your kids, for your grandkids? How can you ever maintain a good, I guess, rental history, right? Like, how can you, or get into a renting history or get into a rental situation for your first time, accommodation moving from your parents? Like, how can we get into these things that was the staple of starting or growing in the American dream when basically we're starting out at zero, if not negative? So if this is your first time seeing Black, hit a sub, leave a like. Let me know, do you guys see this credit card kind of, this silent, I guess, pandemic? It's silent. It's been around, but it's silent. Nobody really fully talks about it. We just say, hey, let's just put it on the credit card. It's just a thing to do. We're desensitized to it, like 99.9% of things in America. So let me know in the comments. Is this going to be an uptick thing kind of indefinitely? Do you guys see it coming down? $1.25 trillion in credit card debt. Credit card. Not anything else. We already got mortgages. We already got car payments. We got student loans. But people are buying groceries, bread, milk, butter, and meat off of credit. This is a fairly new thing, guys. So let me know if you guys done some research. Is this going to be, is this going to kind of spiral, downhill, like in a negative way? Or do you see some light with things clearing up? I don't know. I don't know if this administration with our government or the next one or the one after that cares. Matter of fact, I think it's set up for us to economically fail, as this is all part of slow burn.